Welcome to the KINJAZ Podcast. Here we will discuss dance, life, and whatever the we want.
Folks, welcome back to Kinjaz Movement in the Shadows. We are your hosts, Ben
and Anthony.
And as always, we have an incredible guest in the pod today. Today we have comedian, actor, writer. You may recognize her as Alice from the hit series Good Trouble on Freeform. You may have seen her stand-up on Comedy Central, as well as a regular at the legendary Laugh Factory, the Improv, the Comedy Store. We have SGV's very own Sherry Cola in the pod.
Oh, my darlings. 2023.
2023.
Spicy off the top.
Happy New Year.
Than's for that intro.
Yes.
I'm not a regular at Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store,
She's
or the Improv. But I dabble.
But you've been there. You've done the thing.
But regular is actually a title, and I don't have that title.
Oh,
yeah. We're not going to edit that out though. But we wanted to educate our listeners.
Keeping it real. Yeah,
We're manifesting.
Yeah.
Or we're manifesting. It really depends on you. You know what I mean?
That works too.
Is that a T-shirt? Are we making merch?
Oh.
Purchase at Kinjaz Dojo online.
Swipe up.
That doesn't even work. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Swipe up. Oh, now it's tap. You got the tap link now.
Oh,
they got rid of the swipe up thing. Yeah.
It's too much. Like, since when did IG stories become Tinder? Like, I'm going
right,
left, right.
It's just like now people are stores and everything. It's just all everything's about business.
Instagram has stolen everyone's identity. You know, like when Vine was a thing, when Instagram started doing videos, Vine was out of business.
Yeah.
Snapchat, Instagram started doing stories.
Right.
Snapchat is still, around, but
are you an Instagram or like a TikToker? Are you on the TikTok game? I never got on
TikTok, even though I have big.
It's a generational thing, though, right?
I mean, I feel like I have big viral energy. No COVID, and I should have gotten on TikTok, but I missed the train.
Yeah.
So now it's too
late. It's not too late. I mean,
it's not too late there. Unless they like pull the plug from our government.
Well, yeah,
or
it might get banned.
Completely take it away. But other than that, it's not too late, right?
Because Trump was trying. Okay, that was a whole nother thing. Okay, it's 2023 now. That's 2020 news. Yeah. But he was trying to pull the plug.
Well, they're still trying
to. You know what I mean? I believe everybody in Congress or whatever had to like delete it off of their phone for like
like any government position who has a phone can't have TikTok on it or something like that.
Wait, why?
I don't know. Well, something about.
I think the mass kind of like thing that we get told is that there's it's just a gateway for China to be able to get data on all of our citizens and all the users and stuff like that. But I mean, there's fun conspiracies that go a little bit deeper.
I mean, don't they already have our data? Like, I feel like all of our stuff is. I mean, if you have Instagram, what's the difference?
Yeah, once you throw out your data, who cares, right?
Exactly.
Well, this is the real reason why we invited you to come.
Right? No, we have to talk. China-American relations
because
because I'm the representative for both countries.
Well, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's honestly, it's really dope to have you here because I know that like when all of us went into like the planning and being like, oh, who do we want to bring and stuff like that. There was just like a dope energy about being like, we have to bring Sherry. She's not only been killing it, she represents like what I mean. Just like so much close to home and also so much of like what feels parallel to even like a lot of the journey that we even as Kinjaz embark on ourselves and stuff. So it's really an honor to just have you come out here, join us, have some dope conversation. You're obviously doing amazing things like Ben already said, you know what I mean? We got Good Trouble season 5 coming out and
in
stuff.
The thick of filming season 5. You can catch all 4 seasons on Hulu right now.
Sick.
You're filming right now.
We're filming right now. Season 5 premieres on March 16th. I don't know when this is coming out, but we're not going to release this for 10 years, okay? This is like a time capsule, this podcast.
That's why we got to get your story.
We're going to watch it in 10 years.
This is like Bitcoin. We're investing in Sherry Cola right now, waiting for her to run the world later.
Yes.
The numbers are going up. No, honestly, it really is the climb and the hustle, and I respect y'all for the same reason. I actually took a dance class 3 days ago.
Really?
Ellen Kim.
Oh, yeah.
Asian American Girl Club, which was founded by my homegirl and also co-star Ali Maki. They put together this dance class and did a little Blackpink number.
No way.
It was so fun.
Okay.
I'm not a dancer, but...
How'd you do?
I have fun. You
That's all
know,
that matters.
I don't take it too seriously, but I realized that I've danced in most of the things I have filmed. Like on Good Trouble, there's this sexy dance number that I do, like tits were out and everything. Spread eagle on a chair, like the whole 9.
Wow, and that could be referenced right here in this thumbnail. That
yeah, exactly.
No, obviously kidding, guys. Family show.
Season 2. Episode 6 or something like that. I do this dance number. That was like a challenge, of course. And then I was on this show called Funny Dance Show. And
there's a show called Funny Dance Show?
Yes, it's comedians dance battling.
Wow. Where is this?
It was on
what
E, yeah.
the heck?
And then I just did a movie with Ashley Park, Stephanie Hsu, and we have a whole dance sequence there too. So I do have experience like just learning choreo, I guess. But I'm not a dancer per se.
I feel like you're a dancer.
I don't know. What qualifies you as a dancer?
Did you get paid for it? Yeah, you're a professional dancer.
That's
what it is.
Dancer.
You know what I'm saying?
That means a lot coming from you too.
Well, you know, we are the voice of professional dance.
We're the representatives of dancers. Yeah. But I actually met both of you separately, which is really random. So when was the moment you two like realized, oh, you both know who I am, or like have this mutualness?
Well, you brought up her name to me even when we were trying to get guests for last season, and then I just coincidentally met you at that event.
That was such a powerful event.
That was a powerful event.
We know each other from Asian stuff. That's Asian like stuff. Pretty much it.
Yeah, we're all connected.
What is this powerful event?
It was at Noya House in downtown, and it was. I honestly, it was a panel definitely for APAHM.
It was Melissa Twan. She was emceeing it.
Right, but what was the company? Oh my goodness, we have to really look it up because we do so many panels.
Sorry, guys.
I apologize, but it was really
basically
powerful.
Another powerful panel where you're basically representing like the Asian American experience.
Us.
Yeah,
we love to preach about that shit because we haven't had the opportunity for so long to talk about it.
But it's important.
100%.
It's really important for these conversations
to be had. And speak out. And I met you on the Just Kidding News,
which is also another powerful event.
Which is like the opposite.
Excuse me, we have to speak out.
In terms of the extremes of topics, like the things that we've talked about, just like the sex stuff, like the things we've talked about on JK News versus this like inspirational, like
very nice.
See, that's why I was so keen to bring you here because I was like, I need to talk about real stuff with Sherry too. You know?
Inspirational. Yeah.
The range. Well, thanks for having me, honeys, and thanks for the sparkling water.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to get you in for a minute. But as we always do with our first time guests, we like to kind of open up to the backstory, the origin story of Sherry Cola. So would you mind kind of taking us down that memory lane?
Origin.
Yes.
I was born 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
Natural birth.
It's a good weight. It's a good weight.
In Shanghai, China. Immigrant gang. We'll check that box.
Yeah.
Where's your TikTok, dude?
Saying, like, I could go viral, but I'm like, let me just save the views for other people.
Yo, you are such a community-minded person.
You know what I mean? I'm so selfless. No, but I was born in Shanghai and I moved to the U.S. when I was like 4. It's technically like 3.5, but you know, why are we splitting hairs? Judges? Yeah, they'll allow it. 3.5 years old. I
love your Karopi shirt.
Thank you. I'm always repping Sanrio. Yeah. I love Karopi because he looks like he works at a little movie theater. He's so cute. Karopi's a boy, right? We don't know. We don't know Karopi's journey in 2023.
Non-binary. It's all good.
So I moved to Alhambra, the 626, San Gabriel Valley.
So China again.
From China to China. No visa needed. Just like straight up. But I was very immersed into like Asian communities, I guess, but still kind of felt like a fish out of water a lot. I'm pretty sure all of us can relate because you still felt like this foreigner, you know? Mm-hmm. Even though there were so many Asians in Alhambra and then later on Temple City. I went to Alhambra up until 6th grade and then 7th grade on. It was Temple City and my mom still lives there. It was just so Asian, yet you still felt foreign, but maybe because I was an immigrant, you know? Mm-hmm. I remember there was a moment, I'm really going deep back.
Go. Yeah.
I remember there was these 2 cool like neighbor kids in the very first apartment we lived at. And one day they like flipped me off and I had no idea what this meant. Literally no idea. I'm like, well, it's not quite
I already like where this
a
is
thumbs
going.
up. It's not quite a peace sign. It's like just the middle finger.
Yeah.
Like, what? I was just, I must have been just curious or like hanging around them and they wanted me to fuck off, I guess. So then I did it to my mom's coworker.
Oh gosh.
And quickly found out what that meant.
Uh-huh.
And
did you do it just as like, I wonder what's gonna happen if I do this?
So.
Oh, okay.
Like,
that's what kids
just
do,
learn,
right? Rinse and repeat.
You repeat. Yeah, exactly.
out.
Rinse and repeat.
Uh-huh.
I like that. And my mom worked at a restaurant when we first came to America. And then I remember her getting so pissed because I think her coworkers were like, oh, that's bad. That means fuck you or whatever. And my mom like dragged me into this like big refrigerator and started like spanking me. And
wow,
I got spanked
in the refrigerator. That's just like
that means it might either hurt more or hurt less. I don't know.
Oh, right.
Hurt more, but quicker recovery.
Right, because you're numb.
Exactly.
You're numb, but her hand is freezing ice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's
level.
Yeah, levels to this shit. Anyway, the point is I grew up in the 626. Very proud to be from there because, it's this bubble like 15 minutes from downtown LA and it's still LA County and a lot of people don't know about it. And the thing about the 626, it's like you want to put it on the map. You want people to know that that's where you're from. How do you not know about the 626? Yet it's kind of this best kept secret where if someone talks about the 626, I'm like, okay, what do you know about the 626? So it's this special place growing up there and just very much like, I don't know. I always think back on, how much I've just grown or more so burst out of the bubble of the 626. The bubble tea, if you will.
Nice.
Boba is what we call it.
Shout out Boba.
It really is, yeah.
Because I was, smoking cigs and loitering until 6 a.m. at boba shops like every night. Like,
very Asian American.
What am I doing with my life, really? You know what I mean? And you just realize there's more out there. Anyway, here I am. Here I am. But yeah, I got my start technically in radio. I did college radio. I went to Cal State Fullerton after Temple City High School. And it took me like 7 years to graduate. Like I just fully didn't have my shit together. I partied a lot, just all that stuff.
So you were the quintessential good straight A student.
I really broke the stereotypes. Okay. I really broke the stereotypes.
Congratulations.
I was right there with you.
I graduated high school with like a 2.5. I only got into like 2 schools, and Cal State Fullerton took me.
There you go.
And it was just very much like lost because I had so many passions. I wanted to do stand up. I wanted to do radio. I wanted to be a rapper at a point. I was so passionate about all these creative things. And even in high school, I was a part of this film club that made funny videos. And, I would do some like rappy stuff and just comedy, really. And then I hosted the talent show in high school, which was essentially stand up. I did that 2 years in a row. And I was, voted most outgoing, things like that. But I think the lack of representation, you didn't think that was possible. You saw Lucy Liu, Jackie Chan. Well, the opportunity is so scarce that this dream to actually pursue it as end game. Like, what am I doing? I'm going to be wasting my time / gambling with no payoff, like that's what we were brainwashed into thinking because of the lack of representation. So I just went to college. I majored in communications and I was there for like 7 years because I was just partying. I got kicked out. I disqualified. It was just like not cute, just really wanted to break stereotypes, like passionate about stereotype breaking. But I ended up doing campus radio for 3.5 years. And I was like, maybe this is just what I'll do. Like I'll, broadcast my personality this way and I can talk about music, which I love. And, I think at that time I was like making funny Vine videos. I was like putting out raps on like YouTube, like just like still doing little things, but kind of scattered, in different directions. So I finally decided, okay, radio is the move. So in 2014, when I graduated from college, I got a job after getting rejected from a bunch of places, Power 106, Kiss FM, like I got rejected from those places for internships and things like that. I got a job at AMP Radio, 97.1 FM.
Nice.
And it was the street team. Like that's how you climb the radio ladder. You join the street team, you do the passing out stickers and, kind of the bottom of the ladder. and you climb your way up, and like there's no easy way to just be on air, but that was my goal. I went in there in 2014 June with the goal of being on air, like on the radio. That's what I wanted to do. Like, you know, Big Boy, SCRTs, everyone we like listened to growing up, you know, Rick D's, Ryan
and
Seacrest,
Ellen K.
You know, Ellen K. And on 97.1 FM, Amp Radio, the morning host was Carson Daly. We love Carson Daly, Old Faithful, TRL, right? So he was this like ominous, like untouchable creature that was in the building.
Totally.
And anyway, so this job was so just bizarre because, you know, you'll be so close to your dream and then you'll be humbled real quick because, you know, like on a Tuesday, we'll be passing out T-shirts at Metro PCS. And on Friday, you'll be escorting Ed Sheeran at the Forum, you know? So the radio world was such a whirlwind, and it was so fun. It was just people in their 20s trying to figure it out. And it was such a niche job. And I am developing a TV show on this because it was just such a chapter of my life that
amazing.
Is so special. And I'm not even going to play me because I lived it, you know, I kind of just want to make it. But yeah, it was just people in their 20s hooking up, like love triangles at the same time, trying to make a dream come true. Like one of my coworkers was a professional boxer, and this was just like a part-time job, you know, and he was like 19, you know? Anyway, so I did everything under this building from 2014 up until 2017. I did the social media stuff. I was board opping on the weekends because on the weekends they didn't have anyone on air, so they needed someone in the studio to make sure there was music, like midnight to 6 a.m. shifts. I was doing like programming stuff where I would go on the street and, you know, get sound bites from listeners that they play, like, you know, like, hey, I'm Anthony from Glendale, you know, those sound bites. I would, you know, we would do events in Palm Springs and stuff like that. And I was very much like the best, worst employee because I also like accidentally crashed one of the DJ trucks one time because I fell asleep behind the wheel.
Oh, dang.
So like there was just so much that happened in this job where every day was different, you know? And once again, it was just this group of people. It was like college. You know, like we were in our 20s. People wanted to be famous. People wanted to be musicians. There were a lot of DJs, like who I'm still very close to now. Like we were all just passionate about art. And, you know, all my coworkers went on to work for Apple Music, Golden Voice. Like they're all like doing some dope shit now. You know, we all kind of just came from this unexplainable job of being on the street team at Amp Radio, technically promotions, and we just did it all. It was just, we also like, there was this other guy on the morning show, Surfer Steven, and I love Surfer Steven. He's the guy that like first told me about UCB. But one of our random jobs on the street team was to take Surfer Steven home after the morning show, like just because he didn't have a car at the time. So like just errands. It was very much like assistant intern stuff, like making $9.50 an hour, you know? And so now the radio station is done, by the way. Like it kind of what's that word? Expired, if you will. Okay. It doesn't exist anymore. It had a good run. But anyway, at that point, Carson Daly was the morning show host, right? And 2 years after I got hired, I started doing stand-up. And I also had this viral rapper character, you know, and Carson Daly caught wind of me. He was like, wait, this girl is in the building. Why are we not using her? Carson Daly was like, wait, this girl's funny. What are we doing? Like, I want to meet with her. And he met with me and basically said I was funny and all that stuff because I just started doing stand-up.
So he just saw your stuff on social media.
Yeah, like because it was viral, and in the building people were talking about it. Like how I just suddenly got like in 24 hours, it was this video rapper character who I have outgrown. So no need to go deep into it. But the point is, it got like 1 million views in 24 hours, which is a lot for someone who has never gotten 1 million views in 24 hours. Yeah. So it was the talk of the building. You know? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Carson Daly caught on, and with the help of a few other people, you know, kind of whispering in his ear, he added me to the morning show. And at this point, it's like May 2016. So I'd been there for just pretty much 2 years. And he added me to the morning show kind of sporadically a little. It was inconsistent, but I did it a bunch of times where I came in on a Friday and kind of just talked about like celebrity pop culture news and made fun of it, did my thing. Some on the street stuff a couple times too, at concerts and stuff. But that happened. And then that November of 2016 or late October, I got my own show on Sunday nights. And Sick. It was with my coworker at the time, also producer, DJ, musician. She just played Coachella last year. So it's like we've just been climbing together.
Yeah.
And she was also my roommate for 6 years as well. So this whole time was just very like, just the hustle and grind. But Vanessa Michaels was my co-host and she knew the music and I was funny and it was this new music show. So then I'm like interviewing Fifth Harmony, Khalid, and that show lasted a little under a year because radio was its own beast. Like it got bought out. A company bought out the company. So a lot of things got trimmed.
But at this point though, because you had mentioned, you're like post college or going into, you're like, I'm gonna do radio. You like that? That's my goal. I want to get on radio. Now 2 years later, you hit your goal. Like, what were you feeling at that point?
I mean, the fact that like I even got my own show, that was a trip because even the months prior when Carson Daly wanted to meet with me, and then I had my debut on the morning show. That felt like I made it. That felt like. And this was before I was even an actor.
Yeah.
I only wanted my voice to be out in the world. Like I wasn't even gonna show this cute face. What am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But every step of the way, even now, like I mean, and we haven't even gotten to the 2023 of it all, but you just realize you don't even know what you're capable of. Your bandwidth, there is no limit to the capacity of your craft. The slices of this pie that you could fucking eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're once again brainwashed because we are, I am an immigrant, a Chinese queer woman, all these things that society just never rooted for. That's my Lady Gaga quote. I say that in every interview. But truly, like, we thought they were weaknesses, because we were treated like so. And now I'm like, oh shit, this is a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many things I've booked because I am queer authentically? Like, I'm fully like getting more roles because I'm liberated in who I am of this being this queer woman and Asian and just like so loud and proud about who I am. But that was not overnight because holy shit, we had to fucking quiet our culture for so long. And I think the shift, especially within the last few years of everything the community has gone through, we're just fighting for the space we deserve. So it is very powerful now that, embracing who I am, you realize, oh, there's just so much more I can do and so many more people I can reach. But that was the case. Like when I first got the Carson Daly opportunity, I was like, oh shit, I made it. The goal, it's met,
Mm-hmm.
But then I get my own show. I was like, oh wow, what? I'm interviewing these people. Holy shit. And then that was the same month. I started acting as well. So just so much happened in 2016. It was so transitional. I got my first gig with the help of my manager, who's literally my friend from college. I met him because he was like the general manager of the college radio station. Like him just as a college gig. He was the radio station manager, and I met him and kind of lost touch. And then we were still friends on Facebook. And when I started having the viral videos and doing the stand-up, I was posting on Facebook and he was like, dope, you're finally doing it. And I was like, yeah, like finally I'm doing stand-up. And he came to see me the second time I ever did stand-up. And he hit me up the next day and he was like, that was great. It was fine. It was my second time doing stand-up. And it was at Los Globos. Shout out to Colors Comedy for putting me on. But that really was the hustle too at that point, because with stand-up, like that shit is, even now that I'm like an actress for real, it's still hard to get a Netflix special stand-up wise. That is something where like, you can be an actor and book something and that can change your life overnight. With stand-up, you have to put in those hours.
Right.
You have to pay those dues. People don't take you seriously if you've been doing it for just like 3 years. At this point, I've been doing it for almost 7. And that's not shit. That is not shit. Like you think about the greats, they've been doing stand-up for like 15 years before they even got discovered, like things like that. So it really humbles me, stand-up. And I've done some cool stuff, like stand-up wise. Of course, I opened for Ronnie Chang, his Netflix Netflix taping, which was really dope. That was the biggest audience I'd ever performed for, and it was so sweet of him to even ask me to open for him. And, you know, the Comedy Central set. But in terms of like getting where I need to be stand-up wise, like that hour special, you know, really crafting that, it's just, it takes a second, you know?
Totally.
Anyway, so basically,
well, I want to take it back.
was transitional.
I want to take it back a little bit because, like, I mean, I think we kind of like glazed over the whole your school. Like you said, you kind of weren't the best student. Took 7 years to graduate. Where was like your parents' support in your, you know, going off to pursue comedy? This, I mean, it's very unconventional, right? I don't see your mom encouraging you. Hey, you should be a stand-up comic someday. So.
Especially after like 7 years of college.
Right. No, my mom was so disappointed. So right now, I've just completely exceeded like the bar.
Okay.
Because my mom was just, I mean, she's an angel. You know, like I remember in the midst of me dragging this college graduation process, I got a DUI downtown Fullerton. I was 21. And I was just like crying, like I had the phone call. I was like, I have to call my mom. And I remember telling my mom in Shanghainese, I said, I was like, what did I say exactly? But the point is I said, kids or something like that. Like I was drunk driving and the police arrested me or something, just like straight to the point. And her first words as I'm like bawling, I'm like in handcuffs in Fullerton, she says, I forgive you. Immediately, just that was her response.
That's just not fair.
I forgive you. And I'm like, I ain't shit. I don't deserve her. She is just a queen. But there were little moments like that where my mom is just such a gracious, like forgiving woman. And I see it with our family members. I see it with her friends. I see my mom is just this person who is so, honestly, a softie. And I get that from her as well. So she is always just kind of, but that's the immigrant Asian mother mentality as well. It's like, let me just be happy with what's in front of me. Let me, honest to God, settle for less, you know? Let me just like make it through. Let me just like, I don't know, you know, my mom has always had her head down and, you know, just kind of, it's really sad. That's why it's like when that Atlanta shooting happened, we were also devastated, you know, because we know those Asian immigrant women are just fucking happy to be here, are just trying their best to survive in this country. And that's exactly what my mom did. She came here, she worked at a restaurant for 7 years and then opened her own restaurant, which was also very inspiring, just to be, you know, self-made and go to something from nothing. So my mom was, essentially what I'm saying is my mom has always been okay with the bare minimum, to be honest, you know, like she just wanted me to be comfortable. She just wanted me to be happy, I guess, and kind of just really the bare minimum for some reason is just all I can think of, which is why I've completely exceeded that shit. To even have my face like on a billboard, like what the fuck? Like we never would have dreamt this ever.
Yeah.
Ever. My dad, on the other hand, has actually always been a dreamer. I think that's where I get that. I get my work ethic from my mom for sure, and just kind of like my softness and my heart, if you will. But my dad, he is like goofy, like just almost a dreamer to a fault sometimes. You know, I remember just growing up, he always had a new hobby or a new ambition, which honestly, power to you, you know, but it was just a lot of not all talk, no action, but he didn't have the resources, you know, like he wanted to be famous. He fully wants to be famous still to this day, is hitting me up. And I'm like, Dad, let's just be patient.
He's like, let's do a TikTok together.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, my star meter is not even that high right now, Dad. Like, give me a beat and then we'll be in touch. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see what happens after, you know, some things come out. But it was such a contrast. It was so extreme. My dad almost like always wanted more out of life, therefore being really strict. My mom was just happy with the bare minimum, therefore being more lenient, you know? And like my parents split when I was like 14. And I've written about this before. and it's so funny because I wrote an article about this, about how I think I came into my confidence and spread my wings when my parents actually got divorced, because my dad was so extremely strict, like so outgoing, so the personality in a room. How can you even measure up to that? You know, like it almost dimmed my light how badly he wanted me to shine. Like it was pressure. It was a lot of just like, why aren't you talking enough? You know, the kind of shit. Like like wanted me to hang out with the American kids, you know, like just kind of had that, like, I don't know. There was just so much pressure there. So when they got divorced when I was, you know, like 14, that's when I kind of like found myself, I guess, because there was no more pressure, you know, because he moved out and it was just me and my mom was like working at the restaurant. And I don't know. I really feel like there is a direct correlation, because when I was a kid, my dad was literally so loud and just like the personality. Of course, I wanted to be like that, but when he's like forcing it on you, how can you even, you know, meet those expectations, you know? Anyway, so I really feel like, and then, you know, in high school, that's when I, you know, joined all these extracurriculars and, you know, hosted the talent show and all that stuff, and got most outgoing. Like, I don't know if I would have called myself that, even maybe 5 years prior. I'm not sure because a lot of these memories, like, they can also be distorted, and the points of view of, you know, the perspective I'm trying to, like, I'm not sure, but sometimes I feel like that is the correlation. My point is, my dad's always wanted to be famous. My mom was happy with the bare minimum, so like naturally they just went with the flow.
That's dope to hear that, like, through something like a divorce, you felt like you found space to shine, because I'm sure that like through something freedom. Like a divorce, a lot of people might find something darker. Right.
Well, my dad, obviously, like, our relationship has probably improved now that I'm older, but yeah, it almost felt like I was free. It's fucked up to say, but like, we bumped heads. He was so incredibly strict. Yeah. So when he moved out, I guess so. I felt like maybe like I was the pressure free. Was off at that moment, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then we kind of had this emotional hiatus for a little bit, and then I started to do my thing, and you know, and I don't know if he'll listen to this, maybe, but like, it's hard for me to you know, grapple with the dilemma of, like, you know, my dad really wants to be famous. Like, that's just like honestly like a statement I can confidently say. And now that I'm kind of in the industry and slowly doing my thing, and I put in the fucking work, like, he did not open a single fucking door for me, you know? But he wants me to help him out now. And because we have such a complex relationship with the divorce and all that stuff, like, a lot of times I'm like, well, what do I owe him? Why would I, you know, whatever. But I'm back and forth. So I've decided why not. You know, it all depends, you know, but it's very interesting. It's just so complex. Because
so it's like real deal. He's like really hitting you up because he's trying to like get in the door in the industry. I mean,
he's like, oh, why don't they have, you know, me play your dad next time, or blah blah blah, you know, things like
and
that.
He's being like dead serious about it.
Yeah, but I am doing a show that kind of has to do with the commentary of generations. So like, I did tell them that my dad would be down to be in it. So I'm trying. I'm like, because my mom and I have filmed a couple of commercials, because like, when they ask for like mom and daughter stuff, I'm like, yeah, like, bet, like, I'm down. Like, my mom isn't thirsty for it though. That's the thing. That's why I'm like, oh, mom, do you want to do this? She's like, oh, I don't know. And even though they're divorced, she'll even say like, oh, just have your dad do it, because they own the restaurant together. So they opened it when I was in 5th grade, and they got divorced when I was in 9th grade. So they still have technically own it together, which is a whole nother ABC sitcom waiting to happen. But my point is, they're still in communication. But my mom has done some things with me, and I think my dad just low-key like wishes it was him, you know? So anyway, we're going really niche right now into this stuff.
No, I didn't realize I'm so interested. It's so unique.
It's very interesting. Like, you know, my dad, like, he always talks about this story. And of course, one day, you know, if we're really in something, he could talk about this himself in press. But like, he was really close to this hosting gig in China before we came to America. And he said he lost the gig to someone who I think like it was like nepotism or something political where like the person had rich parents or something, you know, and he is still really bitter about it. And he's just like so mad that like he didn't have those luxuries to get him the gig or whatever it may be, or like he grew up poor and things like that. So I think that's what really drove him to have this American dream of like, you know, because even my dad's English is like probably at 85% versus my mom's is like maybe like 55%, because
I was curious about that.
Yeah,
like the
'cause
language, well, not barrier because you're fluent in Chinese.
yeah, well, I speak Shanghainese. We can definitely communicate. I can communicate pretty well with both my parents because we grew up speaking Shanghainese, and and their English is, you know, decent, but I mainly speak Shanghainese to both of them. But my dad immediately wanted to embrace America. Like even right now, like my dad goes to Lady Gaga concerts for sport, you know, and like watches Netflix all day. He has that luxury. He has that privilege. Whereas my mom is still just work hard, literally wakes up before the sun's up to you know, her baby, the restaurant. You know, my dad kind of checked out of the restaurant, but he's like there once a week or something. I don't fucking know. That's their business. But
he's going to Lady Gaga concerts.
But that's like, he fully like wanted to embrace pop culture and like knows all these things and has always been very curious minded. Whereas my mom, once again, like, she just did what she had to do, you know? So my mom has never been in New York, you know? Like, you think about how hard these immigrant Asian women work. And I've given her opportunities twice. I went to New York twice this year, and I was like, Mom, you should come. But she's like, no, I gotta do the restaurant. I'm like, you know, like there's always excuses in the sense of like they don't even give themselves permission to enjoy life, you know? So the goal is for me to be like famous at the same time she retires the restaurant so she could just like goes everywhere with me. That's the dream. Yeah. My like definition of success, my measurement of the American dream is that my mom sees the world. Like that is really, really the goal for me.
That is one of the most beautiful ways to define success.
It really
we actually
is.
talk about that all the time on this pod and ask our guests that exact thing, like how you measure it. And for you to
Honestly,
say it in a way where you would show your mom the world, that's so freaking cool.
The woman has not been to New York.
Your dad's probably pissed. He totally subscribes to us.
Well, because,
Matter of fact, he's actually right here today. So let's go. Mr. Cola.
Yeah, Mr. Cola.
Mr. Cola.
Senior and junior. But yeah, like, because my dad remarried and he has two other daughters. So I have two half sisters. They're like 14 and 18, and they've traveled. Like my dad, like it's honestly such a trip. It's so funny. I did not plan on talking about my dad at all today, but here we are. It is a trip because divorce is so popular. Popular. Divorce is so trendy.
Divorce
so
is
trendy. But like, people even have third, fourth, fifth marriages, you know, and like multiple baby mamas, etc. But it's such a trip, you know, like to think that my dad just like has a new family, you know, because like how I grew up versus how they grew up, like we had really nothing, you know. And then after the restaurant or whatever else he does, I have no idea. It's so funny because my half sisters and I even talk about like, what does he do? We're like, no one knows, like, because anyway, but. The one is like they have, you know, the means to travel and see the world. Like they've been to places I haven't even fucking been, you know. So it is a trip. Therefore, because my mom only has me, I do feel it is my responsibility to cater to her more. So when my dad's over here, you know, complaining about how I'm not giving him this or that, I'm like, you have two other daughters, they're teenagers, they got you, you know. I only have, like, my mom only has me, so it just makes all the sense. Also, my mom fucking raised me for real. Like, my dad did not pay for a penny of this 7-year college experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, truly. Like, so when he's, you know, out of line and impractical, I'm like, well, the thing is also, I can't believe how much I'm spilling on this fucking podcast.
No,
He'll never say this shit to me. He'll say it to my mom. You know what I mean? Because they have their own little pettiness, whatever.
But she'll tell you.
And she'll tell me. Then I'm like, well, he hasn't said shit to me, you know? So it's like this fucking...
He's trying to be on your good side to get in the next gig.
Right. I'm like, he's trying to get booked. He's trying to be blessed and busy up in these streets.
Right.
But... Anyway, it's very complex. But my parents just could not be more different. I brought them both to a premiere. Like, they're still like cordial, obviously, or civil. But I try to include both of them when I can. It just wouldn't make sense, you know? So, but the point is they are for the most part supportive. If anything, they just found it peculiar because, you know, it doesn't seem like a possibility. Like when I told my mom I was doing stand up, or even when I first got the $9.50 an hour job at the radio station, like she was proud because I got a job, you know, and like the way she talks to her friends, it's like, oh yeah, she got a job. Like she, you know,
she
even though it's
radio.
nothing. Yeah, but it's like
she could have been like, yeah, she's in her 8th year in college.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, you know, that's, you know, she has, they gave her office hours. They gave her own office. She's my daughter's tenure.
I love it.
But, yeah, my dad just more so had the luxury of wandering and like actually learning more and embracing America versus my mom just did what she had to do to survive. So it's so extreme, you know, which also ties into my dad. And this was so fucked up in my head, and it's still a journey. My dad being more accepting of the fact that I have a girlfriend and that I'm queer versus my mom, who has been supportive my whole life. It is taking more time for her to wrap her head around it, you know? Versus when I told my dad, he was like, yeah, Lady Gaga supports LGBT. I support LGBT.
Lady Gaga's
you know,
down with it. I'm down
but
with
what
it.
a trip. You know, what a flipped trip.
Right.
Because my dad, who has technically not been a support system my whole life, suddenly is so supportive. And it made me so mad at my mom. But I'm like, wait, what? No, I can't discredit her support because I have to be empathetic and understanding and patient of the fact that these are new age concepts, you know? So it's like, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I want to unpack that a little bit. I mean, that's probably something very difficult to come out to your parents about, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, fear and anxiety and all that. I mean, at what point were you like, okay,
yeah, how'd that happen?
This is the time.
It's too much, you know, just once again, back to all the identities of immigrant, Chinese American, that's already a whole thing. You add queer to the fucking mix. You know what I mean? It's just like all of these things that are a foreign language to our parents. They didn't grow up watching shows like Good Trouble, you know? Like, it's the lack of access, the lack of exposure, the lack of representation, all those things that it's just not even an option in their heads. They have this very, not orthodox, but like in their heads, like the very clear cut expectation for an Asian daughter. You marry a man, you have children, you start a family, you get a job. That's it, right? A lot of things have changed, even for women, even non-queer women. Like just societal pressures are fucking bullshit now. You know, we don't need to have a baby at the age of 22. You know, you can get married at 45, whatever. Rules have changed because we're bending them as we speak. And I think this generation specifically, we are the ones to shift the narrative. We are the ones to teach our parents stuff and to unlearn a bunch of shit for our kids. This generation, exactly. I think it's so powerful just because of all the conversations where we're just breaking through in a way I never would have dreamt. Like even when I talk to my grandparents about what I do, oh my goodness, the divide, the lack of like just the barriers there. Like
you're on like a different planet.
They can't even grasp what I'm doing, you know, like, and I mean, my parents can hardly grasp it, let alone my grandparents, you know. I'm like telling my grandpa like, oh yeah, I just did this movie. And it's like, what is life? I'm filming movies? What the hell's going on? You know, he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, grandpa, like my grandpa's not doing that well, you know, my mom's dad. And I'm just telling him like, oh, in June, you know, you have to like, you know, come out of the house and, you know, we'll go to the red carpet. Like when just like saying these things, it's just, how can we settle for ordinary? How can we settle for anything less than absolute just empowerment and embracing who we are and where the fuck we came from? I might cry right now because of our ancestors and what they've gone through and what they could not do, what they did not have the opportunity to do, to just like not even be able to speak up and to even feel valued, to feel invisible for so many fucking years, in decades, centuries, how can we settle for less as us in our 20s and 30s? How is it even possible for us to even think about being fucking ordinary and keep our voices down? No fucking way.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, no, not again. Never again. You know? It's too much. What the fuck? What are we doing?
Hey, it's okay.
Oh my goodness. I am clearly day 2 of my period. But honestly, I get so fired up when I talk about this shit. And you know, both of you have seen me endlessly talk about this shit because we have to talk about it. We've been like literally hiding it for so long. We've been fucking, you know, keeping our identities behind closed doors. We've been, you know, just once again tricked into thinking that we can't be 100% us. And right now I feel so fucking liberated in who I am and all of my identities. I'm 33, you know, and thank goodness, because that's still young enough, you know? And that's what I want to preach to the kids who are, you know, teenagers. And you know, when I was a teenager, I wasn't comfortable embracing who I was, whether it be the queerness, the Asianness, you know? So now that I'm 33 and I can hopefully create some type of ripple effect by speaking up for the younger generation. Anyway, when I booked Good Trouble in 2018, my character is queer. So naturally I was like, damn, you know, I'm not out yet. My circle of friends knew I was bisexual. I do identify as bisexual. I say queer very often, just as the umbrella. But my friends knew I was bisexual, everyone, you know, but my mom didn't. Neither of my parents did, because it just never came up. And we also have this version of our parents, just like they have a version of us, right? Like, I feel like my mom always like still thinks I'm such a child, naive, never seen a penis, you know, like those kind of things. Like I remember one time she asked me, she was like, so when you see like men, like, do you feel anything?
You know, that's a very fair question for the woman who raised you.
You know, right. And like, she just thought I was a robot, I guess, because I never shared with her, you know, my dating life. You know, I had my first boyfriend when I was 17. Shout out to Yusuf. He's not on social media. I'm trying to find him.
I love the shout out. Get the last name out there while you're at it.
Yusuf, no. The longitude and latitude. He introduced me to falafels, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Nice.
And so I had my first boyfriend, and then I dated multiple guys. And when I realized I was queer, when I realized I was attracted to women, that was in maybe 2010. I think I was 19 or 20 when I really for sure realized, oh, I have feelings for a girl. And I was tripping out. I was freaking out. I came out to my best friend, Christine, just fully bawling because it is terrifying, right? Unlocking.
Was Christine the one that you had feelings for?
No. It was this other person.
Oh, okay, got it.
I think I have mentioned their name in other podcasts, but let me save something for mystery over here. This is an Oprah interview. But
we're Oprah.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, oh shit, like for sure I'm into women as well. And that's when you kind of reflect and look back like, oh, I definitely always liked women. Like just those overnight BFF sleepover moments. Like, oh, I had a crush on them for sure. All those girls who were like, oh my gosh, Sherry, I wish you could be my boyfriend. I had a lot of sleepovers
as a kid too.
Yeah.
Snap.
You're bi.
Yeah, well, there it is.
This is a gay podcast. Happy Pride. So Pride 365. 365.
Oh, 365. Let's go.
Sponsor
this podcast is brought to you by.
But my point is, like, I was very openly bisexual in my circle of friends and in my life. And at that time, I wasn't necessarily a public figure. So there was no outness, you know, there was no public conversations about it. So I was bisexual and that's who I was. So when I booked Good Trouble in 2018, I was like, wow, like I want to feel authentic in portraying this character. And I know that I might have to talk about portraying this character. Therefore, I should be out in a way where, because for example, because I wasn't out to my mom, I was so terrified of her finding out that even in my stand-up, I wouldn't talk about being queer. I would just talk about, a million other things. But because I was like, oh, what if someone records it and it ends up on Instagram and maybe one of my mom's friends' daughters will see, whatever.
Absolutely.
So I was hiding myself in that way. So booking Good Trouble, it was like, this is my chance to have this conversation with my mom in case it comes up, in case whatever. So in 2018, I came out to my mom, and honestly, I feel like I'm still coming out to my mom. Like I said, right now I have a girlfriend, and my mom is still kind of processing it.
Has she met your girlfriend?
She has, and it's baby steps.
Yeah.
Honestly, baby steps. Yeah. But yeah, so in 2018, I came out to my mom, and then that's when I felt comfortable in talking about it freely because I had that. I broke that barrier. I climbed that mountain, so I never actually had the conversation with my dad, but they follow me, like they know clearly I'm out here as fuck, pun intended. And so then when I got with my girlfriend and it was getting serious, that's when I ended up telling my dad, and immediately, once again, his Lady Gaga, his
that's so crazy. I don't even know how to.
He's just like, so I mean, he fully is just with it, like pop culture wise, and like watches, Emily in Paris. And like,
oh snap!
Like, is my dad gay? But yeah. So coming out, I feel like it's still a conversation.
When you booked Good Trouble in 2018, did the producers already know that you were bi?
So you technically can't ask in the room, but I think because of the way I present, or I'm not really sure, maybe it's something I said, they may have just assumed I was, but technically you can't ask in the room. So which is why when the conversation comes up about, straight people playing queer people, like, and of course it's case by case and it all depends, and that's a whole nother conversation. Casting directors can't ask you your totally. Sexuality unless you obviously
just tell
volunteer the info, or if they find it online or whatever. So it just happened that I was queer, so it just
what is that conversation? Just straight up, I'm asking for educational purposes.
Yeah.
What is that conversation about, like straight people playing queer roles?
I think it really is case by case. It really is case by case because it's just case by case. I've heard a lot of like casting directors talk about it because one, they can't ask, so it's like, how would you even know? A lot of people argue that, well, it's acting, but then it's like, then where's the line, right? Like, because the same conversation happens when we talk about like able-bodied people playing disabled people. So like it's just all a conversation. It gets kind of blurry, or like, maybe a veteran character. Does that person need to be a veteran? Like, it's just it's all case by case, and I don't have the right answer, to be honest. So you're playing footsies, guys.
Hey, case by
straight
case,
guys get so weird. Straight guys get so weird. With
okay, like this is Kinjaz. We get real close. Bros, yeah, we get real close out here. So dancers are very in tune.
That is true. That is true. I have been Dance World adjacent, seeing that I am a professional dancer.
You are a professional dancer.
Adjacent, I love it.
But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. I don't have the right answer, to be honest. But
I don't know, unpack from my own understanding. I can understand how it's more case by case because it's not like it's not necessarily visual. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, it's the difference between like a white person playing a black character. Like, I can see that without knowing anything.
Yeah.
Whereas like I can't visibly see whether or not somebody's queer if they're playing that role. You know what I mean? So I could kind of see that. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, it also depends on if you disclose, because do you need to be openly out to play a gay character? Like Harry Styles, for example, played a gay character in that movie, The Policeman.
Yeah.
He's never talked about his sexuality in that way, but we don't, and we also don't, it's just all case by case. You know what I mean? Like, And there's so many of these sub conversations about this exact thing, like Asian people playing another type of Asian.
Right.
That's a whole conversation as well. It's like, well, for me, I think all the other communities, like the white peeps, Latinx, Black community, like they do, interplay each other.
Sure.
Interplay each other. I like that.
It's just getting sexual. So like, can a Korean person play a Japanese person? Like, it just is so case by case. I think when it comes to like a biopic, perhaps if they want specifically, Puerto Rican, if they want specifically Nigerian, if they want specifically, Cambodian, I think biopics, maybe that's where it needs to be more exact. But when you think about I don't know it all. That's totally, the thing. I don't have the right answer.
No, I get it. I'm not sure. I was just watching Severance on Apple TV Plus, and Christopher Walken plays a queer role, and right away, I'm sitting there, and Nina's like, "Is Christopher Walken gay?" And I was like, I don't think so. So immediately she's getting on Google to just see if he is, because he's just playing that role.
Right.
But it's just suggestive. It's not like he like goes out and like starts making out with a dude or anything. It's just like that role that he's playing, But that's why when you bring it up today, I'm like, oh, like what is that conversation?
It's tough. It's really, really tough because sometimes someone's just really good at that role too.
Yeah.
Back to the acting of it all. But it's like, when Scarlett Johansson's playing Asian, that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a line, and you don't know until you get there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the queer characters of it all, though. Like, even I'm just more noticing it to be a superpower. And I can't believe that I wasn't loud about it to begin with, because. Even, I'm in this movie called Shortcomings, directed by Randall Park. We're premiering at Sundance.
Yeah, like next week or something. Well, actually, I have no idea when this episode comes out.
Yeah, on Sunday. Oh, well, yeah, it's premiering, world premiere at Sundance. And it's also a queer character. And it's like,
congratulations, by the way.
Thank
That's
you. Oh my God,
freaking cool.
We're literally so stoked. It's me, Justin Min, Ali Maki, Sonoya Mizuno, Debbie Ryan, all the incredible people. And it's very much this dramedy, and I can't wait to talk about it more at Sundance after people have seen it, because
talk about it now. People will have seen it by then.
Right, that's true. Actually, it's just such a slice of life. It's very much humans, relationships, growing apart. Being complacent, being cynical. It really challenges groupthink in a way as well within the community. And we just happen to be Asian, That's all we've ever wanted. And of course it's because of the, Crazy Rich Asians and the, Joy Luck Club, Better Luck Tomorrow, The Farewell, like all these, Minari, Always Be My Maybe, all these like incredible, Parasite, all these incredible Asian films that have come out in the recent years. It has afforded us the opportunity to make a movie like this, which is just really could not be more of a simple movie. It is just people having conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's no like car chase. There's no, murder mystery. There's nothing like at all like that. It's just very much a simple slice of life with not even necessarily a happy ending. It's just like a slice of life, very grounded, just following the lives of people who don't have their shit together. That's another thing too. Just the opposite of the model minority, the stereotype that we've got.
The title Shortcomings, how does that play into?
Just very much, we are so imperfect. My character is flawed, and there's actually no spoilers here because it is based on a graphic novel. That was out in 2007. So this movie is very much ahead of its time. And I've seen the movie. And it feels like, even though it's modern and overdue, and I think rare in the sense that there has not been a movie like this at all, it also feels nostalgic. Like it's a classic. Like it feels like it was filmed the same year Ferris Bueller was filmed. I don't know, when I was watching it, it was just such a trip. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It just feels like this classic because, there's so much social commentary in it as well, because it's just about people. Anyway, so there's that. But I also have a movie coming out in June.
Dang.
Adele Lim's directorial debut.
Awesome.
She wrote Crazy Rich Asians. Adore her. It's me, Ashley Park, Stephanie Hsu, who of course is a goddess in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And newcomer Sabrina Wu, who plays my cousin. And it's essentially, for the lack of better comparison, The Hangover / Girls Trip, but with
Amazing.
These faces. It's Lionsgate. It's Point Grey, which is Seth Rogen's production company. It is in theaters June 23rd.
Hell yeah.
That's
not new information.
That's dope.
But it is literally, it's a trip. You've never seen a movie like this. Because even like I said, the Crazy Rich Asians and the Minorities, like those aren't R-rated movies with like raunchy.
Yeah.
And that's what this is?
It is raunchy.
Oh.
It's raunchy. It's just like it's never been done.
Right.
You know, and it's going to be in theaters.
That's
it's a trip. It's still untitled though, I will say.
Okay.
Because the working title, I'm not even going to say the working title, but there is a title, but it's technically unreleased, but I think soon we'll know it. Maybe by the time this comes out. But so it's cool to have that like big studio raunchy comedy and this like Sundance indie darling, which is the slice of life thing, because the dichotomy of the two
range
genres.
For sure.
I feel just really fucking lucky, honestly, you know, like holy shit.
Well, speaking of luck, like, I mean, hearing your story, it's so cool. I mean, I feel like it's the story that everybody hopes to be able to like figure life out, right? You didn't do the whole school thing the way that you thought maybe it was going to work out for you. And then you found yourself in radio, then you found yourself like doing stand-up, just kind of pursuing the things that you just actually enjoy doing. And then now like you're in this place where you're in films and you're writing, and like it's cool to just see like how you got from one thing to the next. Like you thought Carson Daly, that was like you made it. Like that was my goal, but then it's like you have this whole other road that you are about to embark upon. And so do you feel like that was luck? Like, or do you feel like how does one get to do that, you know, without having this like master plan?
Honestly, definitely hard work, you know, support system, but also when you got the juice, you got the juice. Sometimes I feel that too.
I love it. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that too. Like just to be a ray of fucking light and make impact when you fucking speak. I'm sorry. I'm about to just toot my own horn one time. Yeah. I've had people say I have an unbeatable personality. I'll take it. Those aren't my words. That's are theirs. Amazing. You know what I mean?
Those aren't my words, but I'm going to say it on every interview I can.
have had people say, when you talk, people listen. And I'm like, okay, preach.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, these are just reviews from others.
Reviews.
The critics have spoken. But honestly, it's because of that fire that I so very much do want to break stereotypes in that way, even when people are not fucking looking. There was this one moment, I've talked about this before, like about speaking up, even when there's no witnesses and no audiences. I remember I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was in an Uber, and it was this older black man as the driver, and we were just shooting the shit and just having a good old time. And I was telling him that my parents own a restaurant, and in California. And he was like, oh, very cool. He was like, a lot of Orientals here also have restaurants. And in that moment, I know he meant no harm because he's older and he simply does not know that, you know, that's technically a word we don't use anymore. So in that moment, I'm like, well, there's no one here. Like, no one's here except the two of us, you know? And I was like, I have to speak up. I just have to be like, hey. So I was like, hey, sir, just so you know, like, we don't use that word anymore. It's technically derogatory. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Thank you for telling me. And it's in those moments where you just feel like we have to just speak up. And that's not even answering your question, but I don't know why I thought about that story. Just to make that ripple effect, even in small doses, you know? Like, no one was there to witness this whatever deed I just did, right? But to have these conversations, to understand that everyone's experience is different and still acknowledging that it's important, you know, like I think it's the conversations, because a lot of times we can get into conversations and go from anger, you know, versus genuine understanding and empathy and just, you know, being patient with the fact that we all grew up differently. But all of our stories deserve to, you know, be heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think with that energy, I just, you know, I don't know. I think that's why good things happen sometimes. Because
you authentically do have that juice. I mean, to the point where, you know, it can move you to tears, speaking about like trying your best to, you know, like
I was shook. I was shook.
Or being willing to speak to a man in an Uber where there is no audience too. Like that means you just authentically really live that life and experience. So when you do choose, you're so passionate about wanting to share, like I think that's what a little bit of the luck comes down to, right? Or the idea of this question in general is like, yeah, work hard, but like you gotta also have a certain type of passion that brings you to a point that's like gonna go just harder than everybody else who's doing the same thing. So when I see like the passion that you have, or like or the willingness to be like so loud and proud about everything that you do, it's like that's got to be mixed in with hard work, and that's probably a lot of the juice. You know what I mean?
It really is both parents. You know. Like,
yeah, I see that. Like the perfect blend.
Honestly,
like
I got lucky with that 50-50.
Right.
Because you have to. You just have to. You know, I really am grateful to the show Good Trouble, to be honest. Because Good Trouble, I mean, the title of our show is based on the words of the late, great John Lewis. You know, just everything we talk about on our show, the storylines, whether it's trans rights, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's equal pay, whether it's, you know, just the we had a Stop Asian Hate like arc, you know, like there's just so much to fight for and so much to talk about, you know, a lot of it being tough conversations. So I think the show has taught me so much, and that's why I'm grateful for the opportunity, you know, because I had this opportunity, because they prioritized representation on Good Trouble. I now have the platform and, you know, the chance to use my voice to hopefully create some type of, you know, impact or change or ripple effect, just because they decided to cast me in this TV show, which is why representation is everything. It's everything.
Do you feel like you always, because like even you were talking about even in like high school when it's college, you wanted to like get your voice out there. Were you already holding like a flag of representation, or do you feel like through the experiences that you in things like Good Trouble, you almost kind of like developed that flag bearing kind of representation lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
I think Good Trouble definitely helped having that opportunity, because, you know, like I said, back then you have these passions, you have these hobbies, you have these interests. You don't even think it's possible because of the lack of representation. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the one to break through and change it. Like, because I didn't know how. You don't have resources, you know? So like, I think it was a shift when I felt it. Like, because even with radio, it wasn't very like Asian. You know what I mean? It was always, we were always the token, or like, you know, the person to check the box in a lot of spaces. But once you get a taste of what you're capable of, you want more. You know?
Absolutely.
And then once you see like the possibilities and the impact, you know, something small, once a seed is planted, what can grow from it? It all goes back to photosynthesis. 7 years of college. But like once you see, I guess once you see what's possible, like you really just feel the fire more and more and more and more. And also, you know, I talked about this on the panel that we met, the trauma bonding of the community in the last 2-3 years. That really fired us up. You know, that was that weird, not silver lining, but kind of what came out of, you know, everything with Stop Asian Hate. It's like, oh, we have to band together and have each other's backs because we are stronger as a unit. I always say this, and this is a fresh soundbite. I always talk about all of us in the community, you know, representing and doing our own thing in our different corners as a group project. This is a group project, all of us. What y'all do on the daily basis and what I do on a daily basis, we are collaborating for one common goal. You know, like that's why I feel so grateful to be in the industry right now where we can put competition behind us. When we're not brainwashed into thinking, oh, there's only room for one. We don't have to elbow each other to the top. You know, it really is a group project because I see you're killing it. I'm going to fucking gas you up. Like, I can't wait to see you shine because I'll be right there with you. You know?
Totally.
Like, I was
amazing.
at this gala recently. Last thing I'll say, oh my God, it's been like 3 hours.
Nah, we're good.
Stephen Young, he made a speech And he essentially ended it saying, I'm going to keep it moving and I'll see you there.
Love that.
Loved it. Yeah. Chills. I was like, yeah, you're Stephen Yeun and you are absolute goals, vision board. And yet you see us as catching up, you know? And like, you're making room for us, which is really beautiful. And that's what I want to continue to do for the generation behind us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, as I hear your story, and there's so much, like you said, you weren't expecting to go in the depths of talking about your dad, and like the show is called Movement in the Shadows, right? And the whole, you know, idea of that is the real story, the real work that happens behind closed doors. It's not the glamorous stuff. It's not the Instagrammable, you know, social media, you know, worthy stuff. It's the stuff that like you really think about, the stuff that really drives you, the stuff that really shapes you. I mean, yeah, just as Ant was saying, like there is a very authentic fire that you have. And it's really cool though, because like you're now finding yourself to get these opportunities that allow you to speak your authentic voice that you actually really care about. Yeah. And like, it's really cool. I mean, I guess that's why, yeah, this time is probably the best time to be alive. I mean, with all the stuff, like, yeah, there's a lot of just crap in the world, and there always will be. But like, I think, you know, where we're at now, it's the most progressive that representation has ever gotten, and it's only going to get better, you know? And yeah, people like yourself, people like, yeah, what we're doing, you know, I think I love that idea of a group project. It's not this me versus you thing. Like we're all in it to try to get somewhere together. And we need everybody in these different corners because like that's representation. We need somebody in the dance sector, you know, we need someone, you know, and stand up and, you know, and all that.
We just don't want to be the guy on the group project who's not pulling their weight though. True. You know what I mean? There's always somebody there. So, you know, check yourself. Check yourself.
Very true. But,
and listen, we'll still pick up their slack. You know what?
Yeah. There you go.
It's all good. Honestly, that means a lot. Just talking to the both of you, and we're so just on the same page, you know, no matter what industry we're in. You know, we speak the same language.
Absolutely.
Because we have to. You know, I think that's what it is. And there's no right answer here. Like, I'm still unpacking as I go. You know, I'm preaching about what I know, and we're still learning, we're still absorbing, and we're still fighting and climbing and progressing. And I think it's just really special to have these conversations, which we didn't have for so long. This is technically an overdue conversation. You know, you think about even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, like there weren't podcasts getting this deep, you know, about who we are, where we came from, and where we're about to go. So thank you for having me. You know,
of course. Love
and look out for the Sherry Cola stuff.
Let's get it. Speaking of Sherry Cola, I'm curious, like, how did the name come about?
So the name is a nickname. My name is Sherry. So, okay, I wasn't born here. So when I came to the US of A, my Chinese name, Shi Yijie, was on, you know, the roll sheet at school. Like, that was my name. I didn't have an American name, but my parents gave me an American name because, you know, that's what you did. Their names are Jenny, Jason, and they gave me Sherry.
And they're like, I love Coca-Cola.
No, I imagine I wouldn't put it past my dad to name me something conglomerate capitalism.
What's American? What's progressive?
Cola. He just names me Celine Dion. Wait, she's Canadian. Anyway, so that's really funny. It's too much. It's too much. So my dad actually allegedly he went to a bar, or sometimes I feel like it was a strip club. I'm not sure. This story changes every time.
Sherry from the strip club. Yo,
even better. Even better.
I was named after a stripper. Oh, save it for the memoir, chapter 7. But he told me that he bumped into a waitress or something when he first came to America named Sherry, and he really liked that name. So that was my English name, Sherry. But it
waitress
wasn't legally.
Is a good cover.
But it wasn't legally Sherry.
Okay.
So, you know, like, I don't know if y'all have like legal American names, but in class they would be like, oh, Ijeshu, and I'll be like, oh, you can call me Sherry, you know. They'd butcher it, of course, the pronunciation. Anyway, in 7th grade, when my parents became a citizen, they changed their names or whatever, and I had the liberty to change my name legally to Sherry. So at the time, I was also obsessed with Michelle Branch. If y'all are familiar.
Yeah, of course.
So my middle name is Michelle because I was obsessed with Michelle Branch. So Sherry, Michelle, and even though I've kind of said it, I'm not going to officially say it because my actual last name is a mystery. Like if you Google my real name, it's not real. But the point is, in 2011, I went from really well versed and like just good at talking to really struggling with the story. So in like 2011, I was making a Yelp account. So at this point, my name is legally Sherry, right? And I was asking my friend Kim from college, I was like, what should my username be? Like, I want it to be food related. And she straight up said Sherry Cola. And I was like, oh, that's...
Oh, like cherry cola.
Yeah, like cherry cola. I was like, wow, that's catchy. That's fire. Like, okay, there it is. Never made a Yelp review in my life. But from that year on, Sherry Cola, like I liked it so much that I ended up dabbling on Vine. And Vine is so username heavy. So I put Sherry Cola as my username. And like Vine, if your name was like House Slipper 69, people will say, hey, House Slipper 69.
Right.
You know? So everyone was like
House Slipper 69 makes sense. It's how you like put them away, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yin yang.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
that's really good.
Right?
Shit, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Oh, so now now the sex position is not called 69, it's called House Slippers.
I love that epiphany. We had to talk about that deeper.
That was deep.
Yo,
that was so deep.
Just
That's the social media clip.
There you go.
But anyway, I started getting recognized because I had this viral video. I've gotten viral like a handful of times for the most random shit. But I had a viral video on Vine, so people started recognizing me, calling me Sherry Cola. And I just liked it. So I ended up changing my Instagram handle and my Twitter handle to Sherry Cola. It used to be Sherry Baby, like the song. All I do is steal from conglomerates. I'm surprised there has been no cease and desist. I'm not famous enough for Coca-Cola to hit me up. But yeah, so then radio live, Sherry Cola. People just started calling me Sherry Cola. And then stand-up. Because with stand-up, people are called Cedric the Entertainer. Like, it's all nicknames, you know what I mean? So I was like...
Sherry V. Cola.
Yeah, Sherry V. Cola. Yo.
V. Cola.
Sherry Cola Areola. That's what I'm really proud of, that it rhymes with areola. Free the nipple. A whole nother podcast. Anyway... this is not a real story. It's a nickname that turned into a stage name and now is a tramp stamp that I have in Old English.
I love that.
Yeah, I won't show it. Maybe
That's
next
crazy.
time
Me
I
too.
come back.
Same chance.
Actually, we have Sherry the Cola. The three of us.
We all got to get tats now.
Yeah.
He's just got V.
Yeah.
That's kind of the better one, right?
Honestly,
like I'm the one and only.
Yeah, because
right?
then you're like more versatile. Like we're stuck in if you had Alexander the Great, you know, your friends.
Right, there you go.
Well, we're workshopping it.
Yeah, come back in a couple years.
Not my best, not my worst. Yeah.
This is good. This is really good. No, just curious. I mean, that's just the most unique name. I was just like, I love it.
It's just a beverage at the end of the day.
And a stripper. Don't forget the stripper.
A beverage. Second. Stripper first.
Yeah.
Okay. Dancer.
Yes.
Primarily.
Professional dancer.
Also a professional dancer.
Honestly,
Yeah, strippers. Yeah, totally.
I do it all.
There you go.
Group project. It's just me. I'm just picturing like a conference table with like 8 cherries. All right. That's me every morning. That's like meetings I have with myself. But honestly though, I can't do what y'all do. Like I admire y'all because I literally took the dance class and I'm like still sore. Literally still sore. Ellen Kim though. Love her.
It is Ellen Kim though.
First time meeting Ellen Kim.
Yeah.
Adore.
Yeah, shout out Ellen Kim.
Love.
Yeah.
This is me assuming that all dancers know each other, you know?
All Asian dancers that work on group projects together
know each other.
Yeah.
That's the t-shirt.
Exactly. We got a lot of merch coming out of this episode.
The most niche t-shirt ever. We'll make it. We need the budget. Swipe up. Back to swipe up.
Yeah, back to we gotta
click the button.
Bring back the swipe up.
But thank you for having me.
No,
honeys.
absolutely. Well, we love to ask a few things to every guest that comes. You kind of already talked about this, the concept of success, right? You're talking about taking your mom to see the world and all that. Could you maybe go a little bit deeper with like, because I think, our audience kind of is this sort of, young adult trying to figure your life out. They're kind of on their career paths and things like that. And so I think, even just for our sake too, just to understand how people, view the concept of success, how would you kind of unpack that a little bit more than just, taking your mom?
The concept of success.
Yeah, like for you, what success means for you.
Making an impact for sure. I never really thought it was about money. Fame, however, does go side by side with impact and using your voice. Unfortunately, the way this world is built, like if you are someone, people are more inclined to listen. So I think for me, it's like if you have a stage of any sort, if you have a platform to any degree, you simply can't waste it. So I think success is making an impact in those kind of ways, like changing someone's perspective, I think is the definition of success, just breaking a stereotype, I would say, is success. Just teaching someone something. I don't know. I always think about comedy as a superpower as well. Stand up. Like, it's not just all punchlines and playfulness. Like, you can truly make someone laugh and completely change their mind about something, open their minds about something.
Yeah.
Someone can come see me do stand up and they're laughing, but they're walking away actually learning something about the Asian experience, the queer experience, thinking differently about women, whatever it may be, So I think just making an impact in any way is a measurement of success. And, I recently actually went to this fundraiser event by Teach AAPI, and they help introduce Asian American curriculum in schools. And the whole night was just food people and educators. And I was there to do some stand up, and I was shook because it made me realize that entertainment is not everything at all. You know what I mean? There's so many people making an impact and in how the youth is gonna, be and all that stuff. And so I think no matter what you do, it doesn't need to be about Hollywood or TV, film, music, whatever, arts, whatever you do, as long as you're making an impact, I think, in a good way, of course, making a positive impact, I think that's a measurement of success.
That's awesome.
I think, right?
Yeah, I love that.
As long as you're talking to someone about something, they're like, oh, huh,
right. Yeah.
Already that's like making some type of difference.
Especially for the the more modest or humble voices out there too, right? Like you're it's not like you're going out there using your platform speaking on behalf of something that the entire world is already super familiar with,
right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like when you get to speak more for either the minority voice or the misrepresented or underrepresented communities, then that impact, it might only be 3 people that learned something, but like that was a huge change, that ratio wise from what they knew before, so that impact is profound. So
100%.
I totally agree.
Ripple effect.
Yeah, I totally agree with your definition of success. And by that definition, you are totally successful.
Thank you, honey.
Absolutely.
That means a lot.
Absolutely.
It's like the little impacts. Like just the people in the DMs talking about Good Trouble and how, they came out to their parents because of, my coming out scene. Like,
that's
come on.
Impact. Yeah.
And like,
that's wild.
I remember, it's just about expression as well. Like using your voice in a way, just when you feel it strongly. Like I remember after the Atlanta shooting and all of us, once again, were just heartbroken. I called my mom. We were just bawling, just devastated. The community was like just so brutally sad, The next morning I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem that night. It was nighttime when it happened. And then that night I couldn't even sleep. I was like, God, I just want to say something. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What can I do right now? So I wrote a poem. And then in the morning, I just like recorded myself saying this poem, and then I put it on Instagram. It was just an Instagram video of me expressing myself via rhyme about this devastating thing that just happened to our community, this hate crime, and it goes viral. It literally goes viral. I did not plan for that to happen. I just needed to get something out. I needed to speak up in some way, And people were just DMing me like this inspired them to also post something, you know, to express themselves. Like, because we are so lucky that we do something creative, that we do something that has to do with, you know, just art, that we are artists that can create expression in so many different ways. Dance is so fucking powerful, you know, and music and just poetry and art, you know, like that. Once again, it goes back to when you have a platform, you simply can't waste it because you will make some type of impact, you know, like on a small scale, on a large scale, you know. So yeah,
I think that is just your mission. I feel like that is so clear. Impact. You've been doing that your whole life, you know what I'm saying? Because you just keep pursuing the thing that makes sense for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And more things that make sense for you just keep popping up. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that's it's just following you.
That's deep. I like the whole
super dope.
It makes sense for you thing. You have to find what makes sense for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also can't force it. You can't force anything, you know.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, it'll come naturally. And I think that's when it's the most authentic, when it's organic.
Absolutely.
You know? And yeah, like just how you don't realize what makes sense for you until you see it. It's so clear and it splashes you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to Kobe Bryant saying the journey is the dream. Like growing up in SoCal, Kobe is a hero. Like Kobe is everything. You know, actually one of the fondest memories I have of my dad is watching Laker games every single time they were on, the three-peat glory days.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like Kobe Bryant, like there's only been two, like actually three now, celebrities that have passed where I was just like not okay. It was Aaliyah. I remember being in like 7th grade.
Totally.
And Sway with MTV News like announced it, and I was like, I couldn't believe how I couldn't stop crying as a 7th grader. I think maybe even a 6th grader. And like I was watching Romeo Must Die like all week.
Yeah.
One of the best movies of all time. Romeo Must Die.
For sure.
And then it was Kobe Bryant. An absolute mess. I was just such a mess because Kobe is this beacon of hope for anyone who grew up here, you know, like he was just our hometown hero, you know? So everything he ever said, I took seriously, and honestly, Twitch. Literally, I was bawling. I was at work and I saw it, and because I know Allison and I've seen Twitch, like, you know, out and about with her, and I was just so devastated, and it just shows you how powerful dance is. Back to the impact, because I immediately went back to watch his Dreaming with a Broken Heart piece on So You Think You Can Dance, and it was just like, oh my God, like this guy was just, he did his job on earth. You know what I mean? And that's all you can do is like make the impact however way you are spiritually, physically, mentally assigned to do, you know? Like you'll know it when you feel it, what makes sense, what kind of impact you're supposed to make in this world, you know? Yeah. This just is the deepest thing we've ever done. It's gone just everywhere.
Yeah,
we are the point is leave a legacy. Take that chance and give back to your ancestors.
I love it.
Dang, that's a good fortune cookie right there.
Listen,
it really is.
Listen,
really
merch.
is.
Put it on a
More
t-shirt.
merch.
Yeah.
That's actually three different
we
t-shirts.
got 3 shirts that
Yeah,
are
that's
coming
a
out of this
trilogy.
episode. There you go.
Okay, tote bag maybe. Mug.
There you go.
We'll be in touch.
Magnet.
Whatever's cheaper, wholesale.
Exactly. Well, we like to end every episode with a fun little lightning round, so we're just gonna throw some quick lightning questions at you, and you just gotta come off top. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's your favorite fast food?
Fast, In-N-Out. I've been craving so hard.
You know those lines take forever, but yeah.
And Taco Bell, Popeyes. I love it all.
I love Taco Bell.
Panda Express is that bitch.
I love Panda
My
Express.
mom
Let's just name all of them.
Like a restaurant, authentic Chinese restaurant, and Panda Express is that bitch. Panda Express is coming for my mom.
I'll take it. What was the best movie from 2022?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Heck yeah. What was the worst?
Holy shit. I couldn't. See, that's the thing about me too. I am like
Group
media
project.
trained. I am Switzerland to a fault.
Yeah.
I would not say anything bad about anything or
You got
anyone.
that good PR. All right.
Smart.
Especially if we're rolling the
There you go.
camera.
Okay, we'll ask you off air. What's the last thing that you binged?
White Lotus too.
I need to get on that.
Very good.
Okay.
Very, very good. Better than season 1, I think, because it's focused on sex.
I've heard.
Season 3, allegedly, is supposed to be in Asia.
Oh.
So I'm manifesting.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's get it.
The dream is
I'm
to
just
film.
manifesting season 3 of White Lotus to be in
Yeah. The goal, the dream, the ultimate fucking blessing would be to film in Asia.
Ooh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Film something in Asia. You know?
Sick. What is your favorite quality about yourself?
I was going to say unapologetic, but sometimes I can be a little too, I care what people think.
Media trained.
More so in the, yeah. Sometimes I can be a little too soft. Sometimes I can over consider, little things without. So but basically is I do apologize sometimes and then that's okay. Unapologetic really goes there though. Bold in a lot of ways because I would say I am very just speak it.
Yeah.
I love how confidently you said bold.
Yeah. Confident? No, maybe bold.
Absolutely.
Do I dare say
Yeah,
bold?
Bold
you're
is
bold.
good. Yeah, bold's a good word.
Absolutely.
You're definitely not italicized alone,
Right.
You're definitely a bold.
Underline some days.
Some days, absolutely.
Strike out if you fuck with me. Strike out if you talk shit about my mom,
It might be strike through, but strike out is funnier.
Right, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
The line.
Yeah,
Strike through. Strike
Damn.
through. Yeah.
So
yeah.
close. So close.
Put it on a shirt.
Yeah.
Brother shirt. That's number 4. What is your biggest fear?
That is never a lightning question. That is you're looking for fear factor answers.
These are if we're talking actual fear, I'm actually kind of scared of the dark.
There you go.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm scared of the dark.
Do you sleep with your lights on?
I need something on.
Oh.
Wow,
That's
nightlight or
confession.
TV?
No, not TV. I'm not a TV sleep person. Are y'all TV sleep?
No, I'm
people?
not.
Nah. I used to.
It's just it's too because it's stroby.
Yeah,
It's what
yeah.
is this EDC? Is
Okay.
Tiesto on in 5? He's always late. No, I'm kidding. I know nothing about Tiesto. I know nothing about Tiesto.
Okay, I'll take it. Fear of the dark. All right. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Honestly, there's a lot, which I can't even think of right now. Ooh. Wait, this is very specific.
That's
You know
better.
at Subway?
At Subway?
Ooh, Anthony
You know
has
at
a
Subway when they
store.
close the sandwich without using the knife to close the sandwich? I have to look away.
Wait, so how do they
That's
just use their
actually my biggest
use their
fear.
hands? That's your biggest
That's
fear.
my biggest fear. When a sandwich is closed recklessly, where the things start to pop out. You gotta use the knife to make sure it's still between the breads.
Yeah.
That's very specific.
I'm very particular.
Yeah, okay.
Let me just try to think of more pet peeves because that is literally unhinged.
Not being able to think of a pet peeve.
I have so many. Oh. No.
Give it to
I
us.
can't tell if having boogers is a pet peeve or just something.
Having boogers in your nose with
No, other people having boogers.
seeing booger.
You two are good.
Are we good?
You two are good right now.
No,
Because
I'm not
I swear
cobwebbing.
I have the cleanest nostrils
I
in the tri-state area.
definitely got super insecure for just a second.
I know. I definitely did the check.
No, y'all are good. Y'all
Thank
passed
you.
the booger test.
Cool.
It's just because, come on, just blow a big blow in the
Right.
morning,
Right.
blow a big blow at night.
Get your boogers out, everybody.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
This is not a BYOB party.
Yeah.
Blow your own boogers.
That's
Merch.
good. That's shirt number 5. We
Booger
got
your own beer.
Booger your own beer. It's open to interpretation. That's the whole
Put on a
good thing
shirt.
about acronyms.
Okay.
Put it on a shirt. Put it on a
Boogers.
shirt. Is my napkin exposed? No, I would never.
No boogers.
I would never.
No boogers. Okay.
I have more. I'll text you. There's so many. I'm actually a very difficult person. That's what
We're
you'll
just gonna have
learn about
a
me.
whole list
And
of your pet peeves.
My girlfriend knows. I'm so particular. You don't realize it until you're in a relationship of how particular you are. I'm not a big eat food in bed person. How I clarified that. No consumption of food
in bed.
in bed.
Yeah.
Crumbs, that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's a pet peeve or if that's just a personal particularness.
I think that's pretty, like, I don't eat food in bed.
I think it's a particularness until you classify it a pet peeve.
Right.
You know
Because if you have that whole boiling crab spread.
Just boiling crab in bed.
You know what I mean? That's where I draw the line.
That's fair.
When you got a bib. When you got a bib as a pillow, baby. Take it down a notch.
We're gonna take it away from the lightning round. But we like to entertain this concept of mastery, right? I think everybody has the ability to master anything, and it could be big, small. Bruce Lee has this famous quote. He said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." So the concept of just putting in the hours into one thing. What is something that you feel like you've mastered in your life?
Conversation. Because it's hard for me to say something like stand up or acting or like even hosting, whatever the hell, the hats I wear. I think conversation is at the core. Conversation, whether it be enlightening people on an issue or a topic that they're not aware of. Conversation in the sense of this kind of stuff, you know, hosting, interacting with other human beings and finding the magic in those organic moments. Or conversation just internally, whether it be with yourself, whether it be with your therapist, whether it be with your parents. I think conversation is so beautiful, is so unpredictable, and it has no rules. Like I said earlier, like as long as you come from a place of understanding, any conversation can be productive. So I think conversation goes along the lines of the communication and the preaching and just kind of representing with words. I love words. I'm obsessed with words. You know, I love hip hop. I love rapping. I love poetry, you know, so I think conversation is that big umbrella right there that I'd love to be a master of.
So that for real was a worthwhile 7-year communication major. Look at that.
Paid off.
I have the degree to prove it, baby.
That's almost a PhD right there in
Did you see that? That was off the top.
That's off the top. Well, I would definitely say you have that mastered. And I think one thing outside of just your ability to be eloquent and speak, I just feel there's a warmth and you have a draw to you. There is like a magnetism about you. I noticed it the first time that I met you, and I felt like it was real. You know how people just, you meet people, you're nice, and you make good conversation in the moment, and then it just feels like, okay, that's probably like, that's it. But I just felt like, I feel like I'm already like kind of connected to this person, and like it was already easy to even like hit you up, you know, in the DMs about, hey, well, why don't you come on to the podcast? Like, because I actually really wanted to engage with you even further and deeper. So I would say that is something that you've mastered for sure.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. The feeling is mutual, obviously, you know, and I feel like that is something I'm proud of. The approachability, the just like down to earthness, because it's like, why are we acting like our shit doesn't stink, you know? Like my shit stinks.
Yeah.
You know?
But no boogers.
No boogers.
No boogers. Keep it clean.
Oh, but yeah, I feel like I want to be open arms. I want people to feel welcome, because how many times in our lives have we felt like outsiders, you know, outcasts, and like nervous if we're going to be accepted, you know, like just so self-conscious because we won't be included or whatever it may be, you know. I think my goal is to make people feel good and to, the connection, you know, we all have something in common. You know, and when we start there, like the rest is history. You know, sometimes totally. It's hit or miss.
It's there. It's
hit or miss.
It's hitting. Shara, we just want to acknowledge you. I mean, first of all, thank you for coming through and spending some time with us.
Thank you.
This was such a great conversation. And I think what's also really cool is you weren't expecting to say some of the things that you said or talked about today. But I think, I mean, you're talking about how conversation, it's unpredictable. It kind of just goes wherever it goes. And that's kind of where, like, why we do this. You know, we want to just have those real, authentic conversations.
Fluid.
You're doing a lot of amazing things. You're inspiring a whole generation of people. You're inspiring us as your peers. And you are making impact.
Thank you.
And you're doing a freaking great job. Speaking of what's going on, what's next? What can people be on the lookout for?
First of all, thank you. The feeling is mutual. Like, you DM'd me and I said, drop a pin. Like, easy as that. You know, I said, I'm on my way. I love these two dudes. Anthony, Ben, we got Chad.
Or he could be Chaz.
Listen, we're that close now that we have
Chaz
nicknames.
now, dude.
Okay. You know? We're from D to Z. Just go. Like that. In the last, what has it been, 4.5 hours? This episode is the same length as Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, dang. Reading, not the movie.
Harry Potter, yeah, reading. Sherry Cola on Instagram, just start there. But I'm thrilled about Shortcomings world premiering at Sundance. I don't know when this is gonna air, but you can get virtual screening tickets before you see it in real life if you want. But Good Trouble, March 16th, season 5.
Let's go.
Blessings, victories, we'll take it. And Untitled Adele Lim comedy, starring me, Ashley Park, Stephanie Hsu, Alexander Hodge, Chris Pang, Desmond Chim, like literally Daniel Day Kim, Ronnie Chang, like just all of the hotties.
You gotta get your dad in there.
No pressure. You see why my dad's pissed? Entire roster, and he doesn't get a DM, no phone call, nothing. But yeah, June 23rd in theaters, that one. So we'll be in touch. Follow me on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
We'll plug all the socials and all that in the description. Yes. And folks, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening, watching, thank you guys so much for stopping through. If you are finding this episode for the first time, we have a bunch more episodes before this. We have a lot of amazing guests just like Sherry. If you're really digging what we're doing, help us out. Leave us that 5-star rating on iTunes. Write us a review. Screenshot us. Tag a friend. Tag us. I love regramming, all that stuff. And we love y'all. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping through. We out of here.
Kinjaz Bang.
Kinjaz Bang. Kinjaz Bang.
Kinjaz Bang.
Is that a boiling crab flavor?
That's actually a sexual position.
No. Not to be confused with the house slipper.
Yeah, cut that up. Make it pretty.
Cut it up. Make it pretty.